Hello, everybody, and welcome to iReadit, bringing you your daily dose of the internet for Thursday, April 26, 2018. I am Michael Schwahn.
And I am Bianca Chase.
Hello, Bianca Chase. How are you today?
Good.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
How was your day at school today?
Pretty good.
Yeah, you had a good day?
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you do today?
Today I went to gym.
Yeah? What'd you do in gym?
Played a lot of games.
What kind of games did you play?
Like tagging games.
What kind of tagging games?
Like stay on the line tag.
How does stay on the line tag work? Do you have to only run on the lines that are in the gym?
Yes, and also the taggers have noodles, so then they have to tag the people on the lines, and they have to stay on the lines. If you are on the white lines, you have to sit and you have to count 30 seconds, and then you get back in the game.
How do you win, then, if people can get back in the game? Or do you just play for a certain amount of time?
You play for a certain amount of time.
Oh, okay. So, did you know that I used to play that kind of tag, too, when I was your age?
Yeah.
Where you could only run on the lines? Do you have anybody that tries to jump from one line to another?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did Taekwondo go today?
Good.
Good? Did you practice real hard?
Yep.
Do you know how soon your tournament is?
Maybe probably in like a week or so.
That's what a week or so is, right. You have a tournament in 9 days. 9 days. 1 week from Saturday.
1 week from Saturday.
Yep. Tomorrow's Friday, then Saturday, then one more week, then your turn. That's the day of your tournament.
Okay.
You have a special extended practice tomorrow and a special practice this Saturday. Are you watching yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3 of you.
Seriously? Oh.
Do you guys ever play dodgeball?
We kinda do.
Yeah, we used to play dodgeball, and we played a version of dodgeball where you'd get put in jail. You ever play jail dodgeball?
Yeah.
Do you know, how do you guys normally get out of jail?
Usually the other people run across to the mat, and then they grab their hand and then come back.
Oh. See, the way that we play jail dodgeball, you're in gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know the lines on the gym, and you know the 3-point line, the big curve?
Mm-hmm.
Then you know the free throw line, the square that's inside of that big curve?
Yeah.
So the jail for both teams was on the other side inside of that box. And then the way that you got people out of jail is that if you were on, so like let's say you're on my team and I'm in jail. So I'm over in the other team's side of the court standing in that box. If you throw me a dodgeball and I catch it, then I am no longer in jail and I can run back to you guys.
Yeah, that's what they usually play, and I also play that too.
Yeah. How is math going?
Pretty good. I did like 20 math problems in 1 minute.
How is all of your Spanish going? Yeah?
Yep.
So, ¿cómo se dice en español cup?
They don't have that in the spelling bee.
Oh, that you haven't learned the word for cup yet? ¿Cómo se dice en español card?
Still doesn't have that in the spelling bee.
¿Cómo se dice water en español?
Agua.
Agua.
Mm-hmm.
¿Cómo se dice hair en español? I know you know this one. Pelo.
I just have to practice too many words.
There's a lot of words.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, well, you have homework, and I have to actually talk about news and stuff. So I'm going to have you go do homework now, okay?
Okay.
You want to wave goodbye to everybody?
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Bianca.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay, so now we will go to the rest of today's events. Nathan is not here today. Nathan is out enjoying a showing of the Avengers because he's a jerk. Okay, he's not a jerk. I want to see the Avengers 2, and, well, the Avengers 3, 3.5, whatever. I would like to see the Avengers as well, and he is getting to go see it, and I am not. So you are stuck with me today, and only me. My standard little warning to everybody when I am here by myself. 1, I talk a lot. I am able to talk more than I realize, especially when I am solely left alone to try to fill up all of the air. However, that involves talking, and that means that my mouth dries out, and so I will need to take short breaks to take a drink of water. If you are watching the video version, then you're going to have moments of awkward silence where I am staring at you and drinking water. If you are listening to the audio-only version, well, then you probably have those awkward silences cut out, because truncating silence is awesome. Now, beyond that, please remember that you can help support this show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet. In addition, we do go live Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Alaska time, and if you have anything that you'd like us to talk about, please send it to our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/iRedditcast. Otherwise, send it to us in an email, which is feedback. No, that's old. Try it again. Email is iReddit@mjolnir.media. Also, you just throw it at us on social media, wherever you find us on social media. All right. That's it. That's it. Shall we get into... Yeah, that's it. Pack it up. Go home, everybody. No, that's it. We're going to go ahead and get into some news now. As soon as I hit this button... Did it work?
5.
There it goes. France's Macron calls on the United States to engage world and reject nationalism. This was submitted by Iggy Stooge 9210 to Our Politics. So the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, has been in the United States for about the last 3 days. And there's been a lot of video and stuff that's been shared around in regards to the interesting friendship that the French and the United States president have, that being Emmanuel Macron and Donald J. Trump. Lots of pictures of them like hugging and touching and like really strong hand grabs and kissing cheeks and smiling and patting each other on the back, like excessive levels of open friendship. I'm not against that. It's just irregular for world leaders and irregular for Trump because he's not normally like super into that kind of stuff. But whatever. He seems to be cool with it. I think it's because he's trying to have a good ally with France, which I'm all for. But then Emmanuel Macron, at the end of his visit, got the chance to address Congress. And during his address to Congress, he called on them to really re-engage the United States in the global community, and that saying that it was vital to the United States as well as the world's continuation. Because we're such a connected group of people now that you can't just focus on yourself. And when you focus on yourself, you end up becoming people like North Korea. But Macron hoped that he would be able to use his strong relationship with Trump at this time so that he could encourage Trump to rejoin the world stage and not just solely retreat inward and focus solely on the United States, trying to get him re-engaged in the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Agreement, and encourage Congress to do the same. Going so far as to say that the United States is the one who invented multilateralism and that they are now the ones who need to help preserve and reinvent it. And really, if the largest players on the stage get together, we could see a level of globalism actually be achieved. There's always going to be discourse and always going to be problems, but much of like how the United States of America, there are the states that do relatively their own things within the broader scope of the federal government that is the United States of America. We could achieve something very similar on a much larger scale. We're already kind of trying to with the the United Nations. And if we could just take it a few steps farther, we can achieve closer and closer levels of being able to benefit one another and grow into something larger than what we are, because technology is exploding and we are doing a very good job of modernizing ourselves, but we need to do better at modernizing society. Because otherwise that technology isn't going to be applicable anywhere besides militaristic defenses so that we can keep on yelling at one another. But Power to French President Emmanuel Macron for being able to come over and, in front of our entire government, speak out on those things and speak for those things.
4.
Toronto officer who non-violently stopped van attacker receives national praise. So we talked about it previously about the van that plowed through one of the streets in Toronto, Canada, resulting in the death of 10 people and severely wounding 14. We also talked about how the person who was driving the van was caught. One of the things we are talking about now is the person who caught him, and that is Toronto Police Constable Ken Lamb. He was in a situation where he very much could have chosen to just shoot the guy and move on. And that nobody would have blamed him, especially because the guy did have something in his pocket and was telling the officer to shoot him. Ken Lam instead acted with a cooled head and proceeded to non-violently and without altercation be able to arrest and capture the individual, which in a world where there is a conversation almost every day about how quick police are to shoot people in general, this is something to be commended and something to be encouraged. It's sad that this is something that is a shining example when really it should be the standard, but at the same time, we need to bring light to this and show why this is such a good thing so that we can try and push for this to be what we have in the future. Because it is really important that we hit a point where all of police altercations end up this way, and the ones where someone gets hurt are the exception and not the other way around. I mean, I remember reading a conversation or like a blog post essentially recently about somebody from the United Kingdom that had traveled to America. And in the United Kingdom, police are treated much differently, and the mindset around police is much different. The idea there, like, one, police cars are all, like, brightly marked and have, like, crazy checkerboards and stuff on them. And the idea behind that is because police are there to help you and to keep you safe. So if you can see the police, then you know where to go. You will run to them. Whereas in America, almost all of our police cars, aside from very standard issue cruisers, are unmarked vehicles because they want to catch you doing something wrong. They are not there to keep you safe or to prevent bad guys or to be a presence. They are only there to try to catch what are normally relatively good people doing something that is against the law in the act so that they can give them a ticket or arrest them or what have you. And also in the United Kingdom, because of the culture around police, and this is not just the United Kingdom, a good portion of Europe, this is also the norm in areas like Australia and Japan, it's not a big deal if you get into not an altercation, but, you know, if a cop pulls you over, it's not a big deal because the culture understands that, you know, okay, so the speed limit's 45 miles an hour. We also know that you are probably going to speed at some point in your life because welcome to being a human being. But it's like, you done messed up, here's your ticket, we'll move on with our life. There is no concern about something bad happening in one direction or the other. So this member of the United Kingdom came over to the United States, was driving their car, got pulled over. They were only here for, you know, like a week or whatever. And their standard practice in the United Kingdom is when you get pulled over, you get out of the vehicle, you approach the officer, you hand him your stuff, you have a conversation, he tells you what's wrong, you discuss the situation, and then you get a result and you move on with your day. In America, if a cop pulls you over and you get out of your car and start walking towards the police car, the policeman is going to get out of his car and shoot you because welcome to America. And he was so upset that no one had given him a warning regarding that, about the severe difference in police culture from his country to the one that he was now visiting, that happened to him. And that is such an unfortunate thing because of the culture that has been perpetuated in America. And it's really something that we should try to do our best to get away from, if we can. I hope we can. I know we can. It's just a matter of what do we have to do to actually get to that point.
3.
Apologies. Amazon workers booed Jeff Bezos in Berlin. This was submitted by Ergurkevin to Our World News. So, we've talked previously about the harsh working conditions for most of Amazon's warehouses, that Amazon is in the latest stage of capitalism where they are capitalizing and profiting off of as close to slavery as they can manage. We talked previously about how there was reports of Amazon workers peeing in bottles and buckets so that they wouldn't have to make a quarter-mile trek to the restrooms, because if they made that trek, then they would most often get punished for not meeting their daily quotas that were already excessive for what one person could manage, and so they didn't feel as though they were being granted relief breaks because of what their quotas were. Now, obviously, Amazon continues to tout that they are proud of their working conditions and proud of their pay, but their pay is disgusting and their working conditions are suboptimal at best and terrible at worst. Well, Jeff Bezos recently traveled to Berlin to accept an award, and because he was traveling there to accept an award, thousands of people showed up outside of the venue where he was going to accept his award with signs that said, like, "Make Amazon pay," protesting just how bad Amazon's situations are. Jeff Bezos wasn't fazed whatsoever, continued to defend Amazon in a fireside chat with Axel Springer CEO Matthias Döpfner on Tuesday, again saying that he was proud of the working conditions and the pay, that the wages that Amazon offers. But while he says that, he's the one that's worth $100 billion, and most of the people that are making him that $100 billion worth of wealth are getting paid dirt and can't afford to actually, like, make rent. And Germany, United States is obviously the largest market for Amazon. Germany is the second largest, so they have just as many problems. And they're also, it's not like, and I realize this is a bad comparison, but it's not like the sweatshops that exist in China, where that is a level of expectation there, of that you're going to work 10 hours for 50 cents an hour just so you can eat. And that needs to be addressed. But this is an American company that is treating Americans this way and treating good people that are in a not good people. I mean, treating regular people that deserve more and should be given more. China has its own problems that need to be dealt with and addressed, but this can be addressed by us because this is an American company. And I'm frustrated that this is still a conversation when it wouldn't be that hard for them to achieve a level of satisfaction on their employees. We have read and presented the research previously about Walmart and how they would be able to pay all of their employees a very fair wage and give them full retirement benefits if they raise the price of everything in their store by 1 penny. And that's sad, because it would take so little for them to make enough money and not affect their bottom line to be able to be a highly respected company, and they are not achieving that right now.
2.
Most Cubans have no internet access, but get a rich variety of media and information in El Paquete. This is a weekly package of 1 terabyte collection of information distributed on USB keys. This was submitted by A.S. Bruckman to Our Science. So, one, didn't know this. Most Cubans don't actually have consistent access to the internet. They don't have things like smartphones or things like that. But they still stay very connected to the world and what's happening through a subscription service called El Paquete. And what it is it's also the highest, what's the word I'm looking for? It is the most common occupation. Selling El Paquete employs more people in Cuba than anything else. And what you do is you have a subscription to El Paquete, and your subscription provider, I didn't want to say dealer because that sounded bad, but sure, your dealer brings you this USB key that provides you 1 terabyte of information every week. This includes things like video, news articles, like educational articles, entertainment. Like it's everything. It's like here's 1 terabyte of the last internet that happened, and that's how people get their network and information, and that's incredible because they are very satisfied with that system. It works for them. It's inexpensive, and it still allows them to stay connected to the global network, which is impressive because it's not a constant connection, but it is enough for a level of satisfaction of keeping on top of what's happening in the world. And even beyond just what's happening, and like I said, it also contains educational information, entertainment information, and that's awesome. And it really made, at least the scientists that conducted this study, question the necessity for constant access to the internet to maintain network and how we receive our information. Because if 1 terabyte of information once a week is enough to satisfy the human's curiosity of the world's events when it's that readily available, then that is potential for us when we can't be consistently connected, for instance, like space. So, super cool. Very, very super duper cool.
1.
Belgium declares loot boxes gambling and therefore illegal. This was submitted by Nahid145 to Our News. So, We talked about it previously, that they were reviewing loot boxes in terms of if they were considered gambling. If you don't know what a loot box is, then if you have played a modern game, most of them have loot boxes. This includes everything from Counter-Strike Go, Overwatch, the new Star Wars Battlefront games, almost any game on your phone. If you've played like Clash Royale, Fortnite, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, all of those have a loot box system in which you pay money, and it could be in-game currency or it could be actual money, and there's a box that you open that normally has an assortment of items in it, and those items have a rarity. It's kind of like opening like a pack of baseball cards is a good way to think of it. Sometimes you get a Babe Ruth. There you go. That's a baseball player. I don't know many baseball players, and I'm sorry. Sometimes you get, that super rare baseball player, and sometimes you get a pack full of nobody interesting. Well, Belgium has decided, though, that these systems that cost money in a video game that you have already paid for, that some of them give you actual benefit, and some of them just give you cosmetic items. So they make your guns look different, or your character look different, or they make your spells a different color, stuff like that. They're called skins because they wrap a skin around your character and they make them look different. For the longest time, the argument was, it's not gambling because gambling means you could lose. With a loot box, no matter what, you always get something. You may not get what you want, and the thing that you probably want is difficult and rare to get, but you always get something, much like a pack of cards. Belgium doesn't agree. The Belgium Gaming Commission looked at these games, Star Wars Battlefront 2, FIFA 18, Overwatch, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and found that only Star Wars was not in violation, and that's because they stripped out all of the game's loot boxes after it launched. But if they would have kept those loot boxes in, they would have been in violation. Overwatch is a game that it's only cosmetic. The only things you can get in that game are things that make things look different. There is nothing that you can do that is actually a benefit to you. It's just like it's like buying a box of chocolates. Sometimes you get good chocolates, sometimes you get gross ones, and sometimes you get a little bit of both. Belgium's decided that that's gambling because it functions just like gambling. Because, for instance, if you open, we'll say, a box, and you get 4 pieces of trash, and it's not literal trash, but it's basic things that nobody would want. So, like, let's say you open a pack of baseball cards. We'll keep running with that example. And in the pack of baseball cards, you get 4 pieces of paper and 1 player you've never heard of. You're going to be disappointed and feel like you got nothing. Someone else is going to say, no, you got something. But you still want this other thing. And so let's say you buy 5 more packs of cards. And in the 4th pack, you get, let's say there's 2 people that you really wanted. You get one of them you really want. And you get this huge dopamine hit of finally getting the thing that you wanted. And so now you're incentivized because you've gotten this high off of getting the thing you wanted by complete chance that you buy more. And the Gaming Commission's like, that's exactly how gambling works. The potential to get something you want, the potential to get something cool, get something good, something that really makes you feel awesome in some way, whether it's money or just this thing that you only have a 1% chance of opening every time you buy one of these items. And if you are chasing that, that is the exact same thing as gambling, which means that those systems are completely illegal in Belgium, and would be really illegal for a lot of other places, too. A lot of places have banned gambling, or you have to be a certain age to gamble. And in a game that is rated teen, where you only have to be 13 to play it, technically, then what then? You are advertising gambling to a minor, and that's not allowed either. What happens in those situations? So this is going to be an interesting thing moving forward for the entire system of gaming as a whole. This is a huge portion of how video games make money now. Video games are very expensive, and they've been supplementing that expense with things like microtransactions, which include loot boxes. What it means for gaming going forward, I don't know, but it is a pretty momentous decision, and we'll see what ends up happening with it going forward. As I said, Nathan is currently gone. He is watching The Avengers. So you were stuck with me, which means that we are already almost done. Almost 25 minutes. All right. 2 things I cared about. One that I'm just going to touch on real quick. Bill Cosby, all of his sexual assault trials have come through. He is guilty on 3 counts. Go to jail. Goodbye. Thank you, you garbage person. You can go along your merry way now. The other thing that I cared about, though, Cowboy Bebop is 20 years old and is better than ever. And I'm a huge anime fan. Cowboy Bebop is one of the best animes of all time, and that is a pretty widespread agreement that it is a masterpiece in a lot of the sense of in terms of anime. And if you have not watched anime and you're like, I'm not interested in that garbage anime bullshit, there's always things that are exceptions, and Cowboy Bebop in a lot of ways is the exception. It is an anime that even people that don't like anime will like. The soundtrack is award-winning and is played in places that you would never expect, because it's not some weeaboo, crazy, high-pitched, weird, bouncy song. The entire soundtrack is like jazz music. It's great music. If you're wondering what the story is, it's basically Star Wars following Boba Fett. Like, not quite, but it's very along the same lines. There's this team of people, they're bounty hunters that are just chasing people around the galaxy that have bounties on their head trying to make money. Obviously, there's some conflict here and there, and some crazy things happen, and like one of the main characters' past catches up to him and stuff like that. But that's the story, and it's great. It's extremely well delivered, and it's something that everybody can enjoy, regardless of whether the fact that it's drawn or not. If you watched Tom and Jerry when you were young and you enjoyed watching that cartoon, then you will enjoy this one, even though it's still drawn. It's got great characters, great voice acting, great story, great music, beautiful deliverance, and it's not very long. So, congratulations to Cowboy Bebop on its 20-year anniversary of being alive and in this world. You are quite welcome, and I am glad that you are with us. And, yeah, I hope that all of you give it a chance and go watch it. Okay, that's it, though. You no longer have to listen to me and just me ramble on. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I realized I changed the screen to opening. That's wrong. Oh well, too late. Doesn't matter. I also realized that it has gotten very dark in my house, and I am now a shadow, only being able to be seen off of the brilliant light of my monitors. But either way, we are getting out of here now. If you would please consider supporting this show, patreon.com/dailyinternet. In addition, we do go live Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Alaska time on Facebook and YouTube. And you can follow and share this show on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are at iReaditCast. Pick yourself up a quick shirt. I am actually wearing one right now that the people on the screen basically can't see because of the setup for when I'm alone, and it is the Sucks to Suck shirt. We also have our logo shirt, and please be sure to check back in on Monday for a brand new shirt that we will be announcing on Monday. And that's it, everybody. That is your 464th dose of the internet. I am Michael Schwahn. Nathan should be back on Monday, and please remember, everybody,
Well, I didn't vote for you.
have a good day, everyone.